So the iPhone 11 Pro is by far one of the coolest iPhones Apple has ever made, and I'm still a humongous fan of this particular phone. And I will definitely tell you, if you're in the market and if you're looking for a particular iPhone to buy, you can't really go wrong with something like the iPhone 11 Pro. And we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. Now, this particular device, for the most part on the exterior, is by far still one of the best devices, I think, in terms of a build quality standpoint. I think Apple did a really good job when this particular device came out back in 2019, but especially from a design standpoint, Apple knocked it out of the park. The display on the front still looks very good. I don't really have that much to complain about here with this particular display. 5.8 inches looks very good, fairly sharp for the most part as well. And I will definitely tell you from that particular perspective, I really do think Apple did a really decent job with this particular display on the front side. Now, I think the build quality of this iPhone is still very crazy. You have to think about it in a lot of different ways, but especially when it comes down to this, what the iPhones kind of felt like before to this point. And ever since the iPhone 11 Pro, even when I compare this thing against the iPhone 15 or 15 Pro from a build quality standpoint, there is a lot of overlap. The iPhone 11 Pro feels more like just as premium, I would say, as the iPhone 15 Pro, more so than the iPhone XS felt to the iPhone 11 Pro, and that was only 1 year apart. So that's how big of a difference Apple made between these two devices, which, like I mentioned before, was a very crazy thing. Now, on top of that, in terms of the performance, I have to hit on this too. The performance of the iPhone 11 Pro is still very good. I would say this is still a very decent performing iPhone for how old this iPhone is. Now, I don't want to give the impression that this is the best performing iPhone of all time. That is not the case. This is definitely an older performing device. But when you remember how old this iPhone is and you remember how good of a job it's still performing, it's actually pretty insane in my opinion. I think Apple, like I mentioned before, did a really good job from the performance side of this iPhone. It still has the Apple A13 Bionic chip, and it still is giving you 4 gigabytes of RAM, which I would say for a lot of people is still probably more than enough for maybe the average person. Again, it's not perfect, and it's not the most amount of RAM of all time, but I do think from a performance side, I really have never really complained about it from a lot of different ways. Clearly, again, it's not, perfect or anything, but I think if you're a basic user or even a little bit more of an intensive user, and you're still looking for somewhat of like a good device, from a performance perspective, I think this thing is still giving you a pretty decent performing chipset inside. At least that's kind of what I would say. So from those things alone, I still think it's very much worthwhile, buying. But I would also throw in the fact that this iPhone is still, supported with software. I think that's another very, very crucial thing to keep in mind as well. Because when you're buying a new device, you probably want it to have, a long software support ahead of it. With a used device, it's a little bit different, but this device is still supported with software. So even that, it's still, very much worth buying in my opinion. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.